here is a quick recap of last session. We are going to utilize the resistance band today, probably the medium strength one, not much heavier, much lighter than that one. So I think it's probably 3 dots or it'll say medium on it. The next thing we're going to use is 3 sort of focal points, using cones here, but you can use anything from like a magazine or like lids of yogurt lids or sour cream lids, something that you can physically touch, so you can feel that balance sensation. And that's it for equipment that's needed. Okay, so I lined up my 3 cones here. And again, something physical to touch is going to be the most important thing. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm going to stand to the left side of those 3 points. And I'm going to come into that semi-squat stance position, placing my hands behind the ears. And you can look down the first sequence, but your goal is to try to keep your head up in a nice neutral position. And I'm going to reach for the farthest point and then come back to starting. And my goal is to not put that foot down. And then I'm going to reach for the closest, and then I'm going to reach for the one that's out to the side. So I'm going back and forth where I'm touching, back, touching, in that position. Goal is to try to not tilt over. Keeping the hands behind the ear will help activate the front side of the core on this one. And then I'm going to repeat on the second side. So 2 options on this one. You can cycle through the touches 5 times. So, you know, each point will be 1 rep. So all 3, 1 rep. Or you can do this for time. Sometimes for time, it's a little more challenging and fun. If you have a clock with a second hand or a stopwatch that you can just set on the side, or use your phone if you're using the TV for the YouTube. And I would do that for 30 seconds. So same idea on the second side, where we're reaching and we're touching and touching. And I would try to bring that foot back to your starting position each time on that one. So you're having a refocus. Second movement that we did, we used the TRX straps, but because you don't have access to that, it will be a little easier if you take your ankled resistance band and then placing your body at the door. So I would come sort of this semi-squat stance position. Hopefully you can see this okay. And I'm leaning back slightly here in this position, and I'm going to press forward with tension in my body and then coming back into the rib cage. So I'm pressing forward and then coming back. Goal is to try to keep that low back sort of pinned to the wall, and mid back and shoulders. We don't want to reach so far forward that your back is coming off that wall. So again, we'll press forward and then coming back into that lower half of the rib cage. So if you're looking at it from this angle here, I'm tucked, I'm pulled in, and I'm going to pull that band right into the rib cage area and then back out again. I would do that anywhere from 10 to 15 reps, depending on how you're feeling. And then we're gonna move on to squats. So we're using the resistance band on this one so that we get used to that sort of physical cue to really press the feet into the ground and activate the front side of the core. Okay. And we're gonna place the bands to just above the knees, and I like that medium resistance band on this one. Placing the hands behind the ears, and we're gonna come down, seated position, and then coming back up. Okay, so squat, and then come back up. You can also utilize a chair on this one. So if you're utilizing the chair, physically touch the space and then kind of step away 1/4 of an inch, so that we're not hitting the legs as we're going down. Placing the hands behind the ears, and you're gonna sit down all the way and then stand up. Your goal on this one is to not plop when you get down. So big long exhale, and then coming back up to your standing position. And then as you're coming up, I like to think of that cue as really pushing your feet into the ground on that one. And I would aim for about 10 reps on that sequence. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to the last move. We're gonna go for a chair plank or couch or whatever it is that you're gonna use. Just make sure it's something that's anchored to the ground. You're gonna get yourself ready for floor work, but I say we start in that slightly elevated position. It's also a little bit better right now given like the gut issues. If you're down in that straight plank, we have a tendency to pull forward, and so that can cause some reflux issues. So place your hands on the bench, making sure the shoulders are stacked right above the wrists here in this position. And I'm gonna pull that beach ball into my belly, and I'm gonna squeeze my butt cheeks, and I'm gonna press down. My toes can be on the ground. You don't have to push your heels on the ground because that way you're gonna push too far away. So just the toes on the ground. If you find this particular day you're not feeling super great, you can also get down to the forearms, palms facing the sky on this one, and then same idea. I would try to build a goal of 30 seconds. As that starts to feel better, I would add 15-second increments onto that movement. So starting with 30, maybe you move up to 45, onto a minute, and so on. And then we can start working on the floor stuff later, okay?